Hey guys, today we are going to talk about the Pat McGrath Celestial Nirvana palette. I did pick this up from her website the day it released, and I've created several looks with this palette, 3 of which I have filmed, including the one that I am wearing right now. And yeah, I wanted to get into the swatches now. We'll get into the looks, and at the end I'll kind of give you my thoughts on how it wore, what I think of the color stories, how I feel it compares to the previous holiday releases. And yeah, let's get into the swatches. If you are new, hi, my name is Sam, makeup enthusiast, and yeah, let's get started. All right, as I said before, I did pick this up from the Pat McGrath website, and it retailed for $82. It looks like this with her kind of very ornate packaging designs, and then it comes in a carton that matches the palette itself. All the ingredients are on the back of the palette. It has an 18 months shelf life, and it is made in Italy. There are 18 shades in this palette. The last 2 holiday palettes have been also 18 shades, so similar size. So this one tells you that the total weight of product in here is 22.7 grams, which is actually more than what was previously in holiday palettes. I just want to quickly go over the first one that I got was 2 years ago, and this was 19.8 grams, and then the same with the one from last year. So let's get into these swatches. All right, so it does come in this cardboard packaging, and there's a mirror there. I haven't removed the what do you call it, the covering from it, but we're gonna get into the swatches. I'm gonna start in the top row and then work my way to the bottom row from this side to this side, if that makes any sense. So here we go. Let me put the shade named right here. I don't have anything on my arm, so we're just gonna go right in. And the first shade here is Nightfall, which is a brown. Then we have Cosmic Champagne. Really pretty champagne color, but kind of what you expect from Pat McGrath, to be honest. Then we have Nocturnal Navy, which is a really rich navy blue. There you go. I think that's a better representation of how it actually applies. Then we have Lunar Lavender. I feel like that has been in one of the palettes before, and it's just a very light lavender shade, a little bit more silvery. Then we have Auburn Allure. It's a nice brick red color. And then the last one on this top row is Golden Angelica. It's just a gold satin shade. All the shimmers on here have been satin. They're not shimmers, they're satins. Metallic shades here, and then there's 3 mattes on that top row. Now we're gonna get into the second row. Bronze Infatuation. I feel like that name is familiar to me. This one is more of a metallic. Then we have Desert Divinity, which is a more mid-tone brown. You can see from the first one, and that is a matte brown as well. The next shade is Eternal Armor, and that is a like rich pink. It's so metallic that it comes off on camera like more of a silver or a champagne, but you can see here in the shadow, this is more of the true color here. It's like a very metallic rose tone shade, and it's what I'm wearing on this inner third of my eye here. Then we have Fabulosity, which is a very fuchsia purple. It is a matte shade. That's one swatch, and that is what I have kind of on the outer edge here. Very, very beautiful purple shade. All right, now we have Heavenly Bronze, which is another really metallic shimmer. It looks crazy metallic in the pan, but I do feel like it swatches a little more dull compared to Eternal Armor or that of Bronze Infatuation. Those two shine a little bit more. This one looks crazy metallic in the pan, but it applies a little bit more like a traditional metallic. But I also think it's a lot smoother and less flaky from the other two. The other two are kind of a thicker texture, if that makes any kind of sense at all to you. The last one on the second row is Flame Fatale, which is this bright kind of coral red, and it's really, really pretty. It has very standout look to it. So these are the first two shades here, rows. Now we're gonna get into the third row. I'm gonna remove these swatches so I don't stain my arm, and then we're gonna swatch on the other side because I do want it to be consistent. All right, so on this side, getting into the last row, we have this really pretty like forest green shade, which is called Altered Slate, and it really kind of pulls like, it looks forest green in the pan, but it's like a Kelly green, and it applies this way for sure. Then we have Guilty Opulence, which is like an antique gold shade. That is like a traditional shimmer, but like really leaning more towards a satin. I feel like nowadays with the new textures that indie brands have given us that are so metallic, so flaky, so shimmery, like what was typically a metallic before can fall a little flat and kind of lean more towards what we kind of newly define as a satin. I don't know if that's just me, but I kind of feel that way sometimes. Then we have Violet Vixen, which is just a very true purple shade. We're gonna give that one a second layer swatch so you can really see what it looks like. That is what I have in the outer corner of my lid right now. Then we're gonna go into the shimmery blue. It's more like a satin. It's what I have on my lid, and this is Aquarian Dream. Very, very pretty. Then we have this matte pink. Doesn't look like much on my finger. It's called Venetian Peony, and on my skin tone built up, it is actually pretty bright. It doesn't show very well on camera, but it is what I have here on my lid, and I did build it up a bit, but you can see it does translate well. And then the very last shade is Starlit Copper. There you go. All right, so those are all the shades. So looking at the palette, you can see that it's definitely pretty colorful. It has neutrals and grounded shades in here, but it's definitely more bright and colorful with the green, the purples, and the pinks. And even this red here, it is very like corally bright red. And you can see with the look that I'm wearing right now, I have a very poppy, like Barbie kind of vibe going on. So you can get a very punchy very punchy look with this palette. And this one is more evened out with mattes and shades. As you can see, out of the 18 shades, there are 3 shimmers or satins and 3 mattes on each row, which is really, really nice. It's a little bit more evened out than some of the past palettes. So now we're gonna get into the looks, and then I'll tell you what I think at the end. All right, so look 1 is the look that you see me wearing in the intro. And we start off with Venetian Peony just above the crease on the inner half of the eye, and I'm using a big fluffy brush so that the edges are nice and blended. And in case you were curious, I'm using the Milani eyeshadow primer underneath. Now we're taking a different brush. It's the same type of brush, but it's a clean brush. And we're taking Fabulosity on the outer part, just above the crease. I tend to use that area just above my crease because I have such a hooded lid. You can't see it in my crease when my eyes are open and I'm looking at you. And I have a lot of brow space to use. Then we're going to take Violet Vixen and put that in the outer corner of the eye and in the crease. This kind of takes me a while. I'm using a smaller Morphe brush to get in there because I have hooded lids. When my eyes are open, I want you to be able to see the color, so it's kind of just placed above, and then I need to really extend my lids so that I can get inside the crease as well, so that when my eyes are closed, you don't see a gap in there. But I find that the eyeshadow is applying really well, nicely pigmented. I'm not having any trouble blending the two shades together. Now I'm taking Aquarian Dream and on my finger, just applying that over the center of the lid. This was super easy, just tapping it on and blending it with my finger into the Violet Vixen was super easy. And now I'm taking Eternal Armor, which is that rosy metallic shade, and I'm gonna put that on the inner corner of my eye and blend that with my finger with the Aquarian Dream. And then lastly, I am taking Lunar Lavender and placing that on the inner corner and just blending it a little bit up. And here's the final look. Look 2, and today I was feeling pretty inspired by Star Wars, so I thought let's create a look inspired by that. And the first shade I dipped into was Auburn Allure. Now I'm using a big fluffy brush because I want this shade to be pretty diffused and blended on the edges. I don't want it to be too incredibly harsh because it's at the top of the look. And I'm just applying this right above my crease. So you can see I kind of angle my mirror downward, and then I kind of squint a little when I'm applying because I'm trying to stretch the skin on my eyelid so that I can actually like see all the space that I'm working with because my lids are hooded. And then you'll see I relax my lid so that I can see how it kind of looks after. And I felt like the shade did exactly what I wanted it to do. If I wanted to build it up to be really pigmented, I think it would have been really easy to do that, but it was also super easy to control it. So now we're gonna do the outer and inner corners with Nocturnal Navy. And this shade is absolutely beautiful. It applied so nicely, and I didn't feel like I had any issues with the two colors getting all muddy close together. And yeah, it just applied really well. This day I think I was using the Urban Decay Primer Potion in Eden for my primer. So you can see that it had a little bit more color to the base. I don't think that it necessarily affected the pigmentation of the shadow and made it any more vivid than it would have been with the Milani eyeshadow primer. And now I am using my finger to apply Heavenly Bronze there in the center. And that is the look. Look 3. I just wanted to use the green. So the first shade I go into is Desert Divinity. And again, I'm just using that just above the crease in a big fluffy brush. You can see for a pretty light shade, it actually shows up well on me. It's a nice cool tone brown. And I didn't have any trouble again with the application of this. I felt like it went on, it did what it was supposed to do. That's the thing with Pat McGrath eyeshadows, they just really blend out so easily. Next, we're going to take Altered Slate, which is that green, and I'm going to put that in the outer corner. This shade was really, really beautiful. I love green eyeshadow. I think it just looks so pretty on my skin tone and my brown eyes. You can tell I had no trouble blending the two shades together. I'm just kind of like tapping it in that crease area where my lid kind of folds and blending it, and I had no issues whatsoever. You can see when I relax my eye, it looks nice, and when I extend my eyelid, it's completely painted. It looks really nice. Now I'm taking Guilty Opulence with my finger and apply that all over the lid. And then I take the Cosmic Champagne in the inner corner. And there is the look. Alright, so we went over the 3 looks and you've seen the swatches, and I have to say I really enjoy this palette, but I'm not going to say that it is my favorite holiday collection from her. I will say that I think I'm happy with the packaging here. I like this nice bold look. They did this last year with the packaging and I really liked it. It's slightly smaller in size, which is nice, a little bit more compact. There's a little bit more product in here, a little like 2 grams more maybe, and that's nice. But I don't feel like this color story is my favorite color story, to be honest. I appreciate that there's far more mattes in here, and that was one of the things that I complained about previously, is that I felt like there needed to be some more mattes, and the mattes needed to be a little bit different, because she kind of gives us the same brown and rosy tone colors as mattes in every single palette. So I will say kudos to that she actually gave us some more color. If you are interested in Pat McGrath, I feel like these holiday palettes are kind of the best value, because you're getting more shades, and these palettes are just a little bit more versatile than her 10 pan or 8 pan mothership palettes. So I definitely think this is still a great value. If you're looking to get into Pat McGrath, I highly recommend this versus her other kind of mothership palettes, or even their little quads and stuff like that. I think this is the better route to go if you can get your hands on it and you're interested in this color story. I do feel like it is versatile because you do have some neutral shades in there, but you also have the pops of color. I just don't think that it's something I necessarily needed, because I'm a big fan of Glam Light and I get a lot of those fun shades from that brand, which is weird because I wanted Pat McGrath to give us color. She finally gives us color, and I'm kind of like, I think maybe because there's 3 distinct color stories in here, and I would have much preferred something that was one color story. So she kind of gave us like this here, and then this rosy tone one, and then the one in the center, which is kind of nice. I kind of can see it, but like purples are not my color. So I think that's what it really comes down to, is that there's a lot of purple and blue in here. And even though those are the shades that look good on brown eyes, they tend not to be my favorite shades in general. I think I would have liked to see a lot more green in the palette, but beggars can't be, was it beggars can't be choosers or something like that? I will say that it is really difficult because the first one that I picked up was this one here 2 years ago, and I feel like this color story is the best color story in my opinion. I just wish that some of the shades in here were maybe matte shades, like this dark purple could have been a matte shade, or this like orangey copper shade here would have been a nice matte shade. But overall, I think this color story is my favorite of the, you know, holiday collections from the last few years. You can see this was the first one that I got my hands on, and it's a lot thinner, more compact. I actually think I don't know, I like this actually more and more as time goes on and I use it. Like aesthetic wise, when I'm looking at it, these packagings are a little bit prettier. And you can see here there's a difference in the size. So this is the one from last year, 2021, and this is 2022. It's just a little bit larger, but the layout was different. It was kind of weird. So she had her logo there in the center, and I honestly, I mean, it looks good, but I mean, I feel like it's wasted space and it just made it a lot more bulky than it needed to be. This is kind of the sweet spot in the size. So I feel like, so that kind of just reinforces my feeling that the holiday palettes are kind of like the best ones to get started on. And I feel like they tend to be a lot more diverse in shades. So you're kind of getting a little bit more use out of them than kind of the other Mothership palettes that she has released. I don't really use my Mothership palettes too much because they easily get lost in the drawer and the color stories are not unique enough to constantly pull out, which makes me quite sad. So I feel like the holiday palettes out of my Pat McGrath collection get the most used, and I probably will see myself using this new palette as well a decent amount, because like the look I'm wearing right now is very summery, but you have the greens and the reds in there are really nice for like fall and Christmas time. So I definitely see the versatility in the palette. I definitely think these are the best value for your money, $82 versus the $130. You're getting more shades, less product, but you don't really need those giant pans that are in the Mothership palette. So yeah, overall I really like this and it's cute. I've been having fun playing with it, and if you pick this up, you will not be disappointed. I definitely think Black Friday is probably a good chance to get it at a discount or some kind of bundle, because she does do a lot of really good sales on Black Friday. And yeah, so that is it. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, give it a thumbs down. That tells me you don't want to see any more videos like this. But thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really do appreciate your time, and have a good one. Bye.